Hi, if you're in the self-development space or on a healing journey, or what I love to call it, the journey of tethering back to your soul, then you, my friend, are in the right space. Welcome. My name is Shiana. Today I wanted to talk about love, or more so, self-love. I love love. The conversations I see taking place online are more of a superficial idea of what self-love is. This video is in no way or form to judge another human, but in fact to invite you and to challenge you in the ways that you view, seek, give, and receive love. And I think it's so important to have different conversations that challenge our views, that are more powerful, and that allow us to move more authentically through love, and especially self-love. I often see people, when they talk about self-love, they think of it in the form of what we can do for ourselves physically, right? We focus on the physical realm. I see other women talking about buying themselves flowers, taking themselves out on solo dates, getting their nails done, doing their makeup. And this, again, in no way or form is me judging another soul. I absolutely love doing these things and I do them for myself. But I think often we don't talk about self-love in terms of our internal world. And we often hear people say that our outer world is a direct reflection of our inner world. And I couldn't agree more with this. And what does our inner world consist of? My inner world consists of my emotions, my feelings, my thoughts, and my beliefs. As humans, we struggle to tend to these needs. I see this time and time again. I think in our society and culture, we struggle to feel our feelings and to feel the depths of our emotions, to feel the different spectrum of our emotions. And often we have trouble labeling them, right? We have difficulty labeling how we're feeling as grief or, as embarrassment or humility or anger, right? We often don't know how to label our emotions. We let our emotions and our feelings take the steering wheel as opposed to owning our thoughts, emotions, and feelings and beliefs, right? We don't question where our beliefs have stemmed from. And these are all forms of self-love. They are such underrated forms of self-love. And the older I get, I realize that it doesn't matter what I'm doing in the physical world because my inner world is the vessel to my outer world. I think we've all been in this position, right? Where we have walked into a room and someone may not like us, right? And we have no idea why they don't like us. They may not understand us. They may not respect us. They may not acknowledge us or validate us. And often this can leave us feeling triggered. And this was me as well, right? I'm no different and I'm not perfect. This is something that I've worked through over the course of a period of time. What I found is that often if you're seeking for these things outside of you, it means you're having difficulty giving it to yourself. When you can give these things to yourself, you're less likely to look for them outside of you. You're less likely to seek them externally or in your relationships or from other people. I openly talk about here how I started dating at such a young age, and I was married and recently went through a divorce and then intentionally chose not to date for a period of time. And the reason for that was because I found myself seeking things that I couldn't give myself in my relationships, more so in my intimate relationships. And I got really honest with myself and I asked myself, Shiana, if you didn't get into a relationship, if you didn't have partnership in this lifetime, right? If you weren't dating and if you didn't become a mother in this lifetime, is the love you give yourself enough? Is your love enough for you? To be honest, my answer was no. And so that allowed me to go internally and ask myself, what parts of myself am I struggling to love? What parts of myself am I not seeing deeply? And what parts of myself do I not understand? So going back to that example of, walking into a room, when you can understand yourself on deep levels, right? When you can continuously meet the depths of who you are, when you can love all parts of yourself, right? We're not here to just like ourselves. We're here to love ourselves. We're here to love the life we're creating for ourselves. When you can not just love the parts of yourself that you're proud of, but the parts of yourself that you don't want anyone else to see, the parts of yourself that make you cringe, when you can hold all those parts, when you can acknowledge every part of yourself, when you can validate all of who you are, it won't matter when you walk into a room and someone else doesn't do that for you. You won't be triggered because you could do those things for yourself. And you'll understand, you'll come to learn that when someone else can't do that for you, it just means that they haven't met themselves at those depths within themselves. If I often can't give something else to someone else, it's probably because I'm struggling to give it to myself. That is an honest truth that we don't really talk about in our society and in our culture. I'll find that people, sometimes they don't know how to deal with someone else's emotions and feelings when presented with it, is because they don't know how to respond to their own emotions and their own feelings. And going back to what I was saying earlier, as a society, we struggle to feel our feelings. We struggle to label our feelings. We struggle to feel the depths of who we are as a human. Recently, one of my soulmates, she went through something really difficult and really painful, and I watched her go through the ebbs and flows of that experience. And I remember we were in the car and I was driving, and there was a moment when she started screaming and crying and wailing. And I remember just looking at her, like turning over to her and saying to her, "Do you need anything from me?" And she said, "No, please just keep driving." And so I was like, okay. And then I remember we got to a red light and I turned over and I told her, "I love you so, so much. And I'm so damn proud of you and I'm here for you." And I look back and I think of that experience, and did it make me feel uncomfortable? Absolutely not. Because I have felt those emotions and the depths of what she was feeling within myself. There were moments where I have cried, where I've screamed, where I've wailed, and I have felt the depths, the rawness of those emotions, right? And in fact, I was grateful that this soulmate, right? And she is truly one of my soulmates in this lifetime. I think we talk about soulmates in terms of intimate partners, but I think soulmates can come in the form of through family members, through friendships, through a colleague. And so in fact, I was so grateful that this soulmate chose me to express such rawness and such realness of her experience. And she's in the becoming of this woman, and I get to experience that. And I think it's so important to be able to do that for another human. It is so difficult for us to show up for someone when they are so raw, when they are so emotional, right? When they're in their emotions, it makes us feel uncomfortable, is because there's parts of us that we haven't met. And I remember thinking to myself, wow, like she is going through heartbreak. That was heartbreak. Like she got her heart broken. And I remember saying to her shortly after, and another friend of mine, that I think I want to move through life like I have never gotten my heart broken before. I want to move through life like I have never experienced heartbreak before. And they responded back by saying, "That is so extremely beautiful." These are two souls that are doing the work. They are moving through life in conscious ways, right? And they're very in touch with who they are as women. And, me choosing to do this, right? Choosing to open my heart space up, choosing to lean into love and to lead with love is not naive, right? Because I choose to move with discernment. It doesn't mean that I don't have boundaries or standards. In fact, it allows me to drop more into my softness. There's this level of softness that I haven't experienced before by allowing myself to step into this, right? And I've dropped more and more into my feminine energy over this course of time. And I'm truly in the throes of this process, and that's why I'm sharing it with you guys, is because I think it's important for another human to witness someone who's going through this, right? Who's in the thick of it and learning to deepen her own softness, her own love for herself, and me choosing to move through life like I've never experienced heartbreak before. That's in every relationship that I want to experience it, not just in my intimate relationship, right? With a partner, but in every single relationship. And I've been able to experience love like I haven't before in all my relationships. And I think when you open your heart space, not only are you able to receive love in a different way, in a more deep and authentic way, but you're able to feel all your feelings in such a deep way. You're able to feel grief so deeply. You're able to feel embarrassment so deeply. You're able to feel humility. You're able to feel anger. You're able to feel joy, everything so deeply. And it made me realize that so often, as humans, we have this tendency to guard our heart, right? As soon as we've experienced heartbreak in any relationship, we have this tendency to harden our heart and to guard it, right? And out of a way to protect ourselves. But in reality, you miss out on truly experiencing magical feelings when you do guard your heart. It's something that I keep questioning and asking myself, how can I deepen my relationship with love? Something that I constantly think of, and I'm in the season of giving myself unconditional love, like truly giving myself unconditional love, amongst a few other things that I'm focusing on. If this video resonated with you, please feel free to share it with a friend that you think would enjoy this. Please also feel free to introduce yourself in the comments. I would love to meet you guys. Let me know what other content you would love for me to film. Thank you so much for joining in, and I will catch you guys in the next one.